Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome as we discuss the future of the MCU and things may be in motion and a lot of plans put ahead. However, there might be a spanner in the works based on current box office trends. So, with that being said, I've got Cheeto with me. G'day, sir.
Good day,
And
mate.
we're going to get into it, and I'm going to actually change the the start of the topic was just going to be about future plans of Marvel. However, the revelation has come this week that Fantastic Four has had a huge drop in ticket sales for the second week, like huge, like unprecedented. It's gone from it's like I think it's either 86 or 66% drop in ticket sales, which is crazy because around the second week, you're gonna hit around that 400 million mark if your film's gonna do okay, and like peak at like 600 or 700 million. But it's peaking at like 300 and something million in its second week, and that's not good. That's not good to the future of Marvel or to the plans that we're going to discuss because at this rate, things are going to change. And I also said, and I've been arguing with people a lot on this on the internet about Superman because I said Superman hasn't even hit 600 million, and a lot of people don't understand that Hollywood executives, or Hollywood studios, always put 600 million is the profit benchmark. Anything above that, they're always happy with. If a film has like 100 to 200 million dollar budget plus its marketing, they want to see 2.5 times the budget back. So 2.5 times the budget plus the marketing back. Yeah, you're looking at over 600 million. And Superman, it will hit that, so it will make money, but it's Superman. And everyone was curious to see what they do with Superman. And again, feelings aside about the film, I'm glad it still did well enough that people aren't shocked. However, is Supergirl going to bring back that return? Is Lobo going to bring back that return? Fantastic Four, which is a flagship franchise within the Marvel Universe, has flopped, essentially. Thunderbolts flopped. Captain America flopped. And so, three films in a row for the MCU, it doesn't bode well. What are your thoughts on that part, Cheeto?
So, actually, I mean, so everybody's crying about this 66%. That's actually not as far as I know, that's not a huge drop. Like normally movies drop anywhere between like 50 and 60. So is it a little bit worse? Yes, but I think normally movies do drop between 50 and 60%. Like from week 1 to week 2. Dan Murrell, I watch his YouTube channel a lot, and he dives into the analytics
Oh,
of
right.
this
Okay.
stuff. And like I haven't watched his video on the Fantastic Four yet, but I wish I would have watched it before we did this, but still, like I don't think 66% is like a detrimental loss. If it's like 80 some percent or something like that, like yeah, that's a pretty significant loss. But
Yeah, well, that's what one of the numbers is. I haven't looked into. I think they said like 80. It was either 86 or 66%. If it's 86, that's bad. If it's
oh
66,
yeah, if
then
it's
yeah,
86,
it's
that
good
that
profit.
is detrimental to the uh to the movie. But like especially week 2, like yeah, it'll start like that percentage will keep creeping up as it goes along, and
Yeah.
but yeah, but then the drop, as I said, the percentage drop usually kind of stays right around there, but it's consistently dropping. Obviously because a movie's been in theaters longer. The
Yeah.
only movies in history that have ever maintained a good percentage is like Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, like those games that hit that billion-dollar mark. Um,
Nearly $2 billion marks.
well, I mean, like surpass that though.
Oh,
Like
right,
that's
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think I truly I do truly believe that it is just, Marvel fatigue, which fair enough. Like I I am okay. Listen, I get it. Like I'm okay with the Marvel fatigue and everything like that. I think that it's a real thing. I think that they need to really like with now we know that Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars is probably going to make gangbusters, especially them bringing back all the old Sony and Fox characters because they're going to milk that money.
Hmm.
I think after Secret Wars they are due for like a reboot, like not a reboot as in like fresh, and then the next movie comes out in like a couple months. I'm talking like they need to take a couple years off and let DC kind of reign supreme because I I know your feelings about James Gunn, but I really enjoyed Superman. I get it that it was a little cluttered. That is a valid criticism of that movie. I haven't really had a chance to talk about it really here, on stream, but it's a valid criticism about it being a little too cluttery. But at the same time, I really feel like we need to kind of off step. We need to go from Marvel to DC for a little bit. And I really feel like we need to kind of let the DC universe grow, let Marvel reset for a little bit, let us miss it. And I know Disney's not going to like that because they like that Disney money. But here's the thing, they're essentially shooting themselves in the foot because they are going to keep beating this dead horse. And eventually, no one's going to be watching. You know what I mean? And I want my content to be good. And if that means scaling back the budgets, like I'm sorry, the budget on Thunderbolts was like outrageous, and I'm sorry, like the one of the best parts of Deadpool 1 was the fact that it was a $30 million budget.
Yep.
And I mean that movie made so much money back because it was a huge gangbuster. Um, and I think that's what Marvel needs. They need to scale back. Now I know we're all like Marvel, all the actors in there, that's why I think we need a reset because the Marvel actors are used to making that gangbuster money. They're used to making that, 10-20 million dollar budget. I mean, especially RDJ for $50 million. That is the biggest waste of money in Disney's history. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah, it is.
so anyway, so I know I'm tangenting and I apologize, but
You're
still.
actually you're not tangenting at all, and I'll tell you why when you finish.
Well, and they need to scale back. Fantastic Four, they should have gone with younger actors. They should have gone to lesser known actors. And they really should have just, as I said, just kind of Pedro Pascal, like he was a waste of money in my opinion. I mean, they had him there for name alone. He was not a good Reed Richards in my opinion. Even though the story was solid for me, he was not a good Reed Richards. They needed a younger cast, and they needed, don't change the movie, but change some of the actors. And like they could have paid these people much less. They could have reined in the budget a little bit. They did put really good budget where it counted with Galactus and a lot of the visuals, but like still, like this movie's not going to make as much money because you paid Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal gangbuster money when you could have paid like some, younger, lesser known actors less money. And I hate to be that way, but I'm like, you don't need these massive names in these movies. And that's what the Hollywood executives don't get, is that we want to go see a good Marvel movie. We don't want to go see Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where it is. That's what original Phase 1 Marvel was. Like, yeah, we knew Chris Evans. We had no idea who Chris Hemsworth was unless you watched Star Trek 2009. And I mean, RDJ was this just mess of a human being at that point. So it's like, of course the budgets were smaller. The first, opening weekends for Iron Man and Thor and Captain America was less than $100 million, but they were still critical successes. But we don't talk
They were
about that.
financial successes as well because their budgets weren't big.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah,
that brings it all back. So you go ahead. I'm sorry, I took up way too
yeah,
much time.
but no, because you've covered it exactly right. So look, okay. Unfortunately, Marvel's not going to stop making the films. They're going to keep making them. However,
Mhm.
Kevin Feige does says that the future projects will be younger, less known actors and smaller budgets. And I think that is a great strategy because time and time again, the smaller the budget, the better the film because you have got to make omelets out of eggshells. And we saw the first X-Men with Bryan Singer's first X-Men. They kept slashing the budget. The original budget was 80 million. And that's back in 1997, 98 when they started making it. By the time production got started, they had slashed it down to 50 million, and it made bank. It made bank, and you had to work with what you were given. And they didn't have, like, you see Ian McKellen and you see Patrick Stewart, but they're not expensive actors. They're phenomenal actors. And there is a plethora of brilliant actors you can get out there that are cheap. You know what I mean? Like Samuel Jackson, you can literally stick him in anything, and it will cost you a couple of million, like 1 or 2 million. However, that being said, the future plan is smaller budget and younger actors, which brings us to X-Men. So their plans for X-Men. I don't even need to read the article here because I remember it all now. My brain's working. But he said the next X-Men will be young X-Men, young actors, unknown actors, and I'm like, yes. Don't
Mhm.
go back to the Fox universe. You can bring them in for Doomsday and all that. It makes sense in that world. It makes sense. That's fan service that makes sense because there's no point in drawing people in a multiversal thing if it's brand new actors. That just doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
and I agree
So
with that 100%.
yeah, but for after Doomsday, it's likely going to be a reset of the universe, and in that area, it's going to be young actors, and I think that's a great idea because one thing I would love to see them do is just you know X-Men, your first class. Don't call it first class because we had first class, but your first class is you know, Cyclops, Jean, Beast. Obviously, you're going to have to put in a couple of ethnic minorities in there because it just doesn't make sense in this world to just do like the original. But you have them, and then what you see over, say, a trilogy is how they go from the student to like Cyclops being like the next Captain America of this new universe, like the field general, the dog's bollocks, the daddy, and all this kind of shit. And then your next trilogy is kind of like, seeing that journey into full maturity. But X-Men is the one area I feel that you can't just do film. This is where you have to do TV shows as well. And I think personally X-Men would work better as a TV show, but the main X-Men you could do in a film. But once you get to say the third X-Men, so they've matured, they've become the X-Men and all this kind of whatever. Then you spin off with smaller classes like New Mutants, and then you have like your X Force. So obviously, by the third film, things get really bad. So then you have like your more kind of nastier team, and then you've got like X Factor and all this kind of stuff. So there is a plethora of things they could do with X Men there. But I like the idea of them starting afresh with it. No fucking Hugh Jackman, no Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, all this kind of shit. Your thoughts on that?
No, I 100% agree. I still though I love McAvoy and Fassbender. Like and I get it. We need fresh actors. You are correct. We need fresh actors, but god damn it, I love them. Like
Me
as
too, but
I know,
I'm
but
happy to move on.
yeah, I know we do need to move on, but I would love to see them back, and I'm sure that they might show up in Secret Wars, but I would love, and they're at the right age to be Magneto and Professor Xavier now. I mean, McAvoy and Fassbender are almost as old as Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart were when they did the first X-Men movie. Like, can you believe that?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, can
but no, I
definitely.
agree. We need a fresh start. We need fresh actors. We need um we need, yeah, and you're right. We I think the X-Men do need to start off as movies, and I agree with you that it can spin off into shows. They got to see what works. You know what I mean? That first movie is, yeah, you got your first class team, you got all that. That's fantastic. I think by the third, you need to fracture the team by bringing in like Rogue and Storm and stuff like that, and then doing I don't know how they would do this going from movie to TV, but like doing the X-Force thing from the X-Men in the 70s where they basically fractured the team and then, or no, was it
No,
X-Force
the
or
80s.
X-Factor? Was it the 80s?
It was a X Factor.
Yeah, X Factor. And then do X Factor, not as a movie, but as a TV show with that original team. But I just, if those X-Men movies make gangbusters, then you're going to be paying a obscene amount of money for actors in this TV show. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know who they would go for to bring in. Like, if I was going to do the first kind of class, obviously I'd have the original the original five. Was it five?
Yeah,
Storm, the Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, Beast. Four.
an Angel.
Oh, an angel. Yeah, sorry, an
Yeah,
angel.
I mean 6 if you count Professor X, but I do not. I never do.
No, no, no. We're talking about teams. So I'd have them, but I'd also have like Warpath and sorry, Thunderbird and Sunfire or
Sunfire?
Sunspot, things like that.
Oh, yeah,
Just to
Sunspot,
kind
yeah.
of mix up. I wouldn't bring in Storm yet, because Storm, I want Storm to kind of be like a solo thing. Like if they do like more international stuff and then bring her in or whatever, or bring her in at a later date. But in that is so the first one, the save the day. The second film, I would love to see Thunderbird and Angel die in it, and Angel die in it, as in, he'll come back as Archangel, but you got to take that plunge. So, your first film is your standard, your second is your Empire Strikes Back, and your third is like Empire Strikes Back even more because you can't just, finish it
Well, so my
on a
thought while
high.
you were so my thought about that actually while you're talking, no, but that's what I mean. Like at the end of the third movie, they fracture.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so actually, what if they kind of merged like a little bit of like the mid 2000 fracture, where it was like with the original X-Men, where it's like Cyclops goes off with different members like Magneto and stuff like that, and they form their own, and then they do, but then you also have some of the originals back here in the at the Institute. So like it's a little bit of a merger between like the X Factor split in the 80s and the like kind of like the modern day when like Cyclops was a fugitive, you know what I mean? But like maybe not
Yeah.
make him a fugitive.
No, no, but I would definitely like you definitely have to have a few people within like the X-Men. Like again, what I liked about the original the two singer films, because the third one I didn't mind the third one that much, was when you had like Pyro go off and just join like the bad guys. So you'll need a few a few of that. Obviously, you're going to need your villains as well. And I want to see the fucking proper Brotherhood. I want to see Blob. I want to see me on screen. I want to see my Blob on screen. I want to. But anyway, I'm not. Whatever. We're talking too much about X-Men here. I could talk for years
We could
about
talk.
X-Men.
We could talk for an hour and a half on X-Men. We
Yeah,
really could.
seriously, we could. But I just hope they get it right. I hope they get it right. It can't be all like fluffy tits and good times with X-Men. You have to treat them like they are black and Mexican, and people's attitude towards them or
But that's the
Muslim.
original spirit of X-Men
That's
was,
it. It was born out of
not
the civil
segregation,
rights
but like
movement. Prejudice,
prejudice. Yeah,
prejudice.
prejudice.
You need that because if you just have again, we're still going to be talking about X-Men, but it doesn't matter. But if you still having like mutants versus other mutants, what's the fucking point of that? They have to feel the weight of the world to be not trusted, to be like, look, we know what Captain America is, we know what Iron Man is, we see their powers. We don't know what you are. You're a walking weapon. You could be like Nitro and blow up and take out fucking school kids and all this kind of shit. Oh, Civil War, what a fucking story. And all
Civil
this.
War. I love Civil
Oh,
War.
I love it so much. And you could do all this kind of stuff, and then you've got to have the purifiers in there, which I'm sure it is the fucking evangelicals. Okay, that's you got to have your purifiers in there. You got to have your friends of humanity in there. You got to have
Mhm.
different groups and different governments going after the mutants. And I would love it if it ever gets to the point where it's very successful. They migrate over to Genosha, and then they fuck up Genosha, and then it's just pure mutant massacre, because no matter if they've told it in the cartoon, it's still you still got to go there, because it's just amazing stories, and tragedies are the best fucking stories. But anyway, fucking X-Men, god damn it, stop being so fascinating.
Right?
Yeah. So what the other projects they have? Hang on, have I just no? So obviously they've got Black Panther 3. As long as Ryan Coogler is involved, I'm down with that. I don't
But here's
mind.
the thing: is that when's that coming out? It's got to come out before Secret Wars, unless they're rebooting it also. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
unless they're rebooting it also, I honestly don't want it. And I mean, I loved Wakanda Forever. I thought was an amazing movie.
So
The
good.
first Black Panther, I loved its social significance, but it still was kind of your by the numbers superhero movie. But still, I love the fact that it made over $1 billion. I love the fact that it showed that wow, the minority movies can sell. Holy crap. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, and the second one did gangbusters as well. Not as much,
But it was
but
still an amazing movie. God,
it
that
was
was
a
such a
fucking masterpiece. I'm sorry, it was an absolute masterpiece. Okay, the final battle with the Wakandans and the them Atlanteans
Atlanteans.
was stupid. But the battle between Black Panther and Namor, fucking hell, what? That's the bar. That's the bar. It was so brutal. Loved
Mhm.
it. So yeah, I love Wakanda Forever. It's a great film. I could glaze my nuts over that film all day long. And so yeah, I definitely want a
I already
Black Panther
have.
film.
My Blu-ray's been
Good.
ruined. I mean,
Fantastic. That's good to hear. There are no so the only release dates set at the moment are Spider-Man No Way Home, which they've started filming. There are clips surfacing online of Glaswegians going crazy and having a good time. And there is just for Spider-Man and Avengers like the Doomsday stuff.
yeah.
Those are the only things I've got like a window of like 2026, 27 to come out. Everything else, nothing else from what I've read has a set date.
Yeah,
And
everything
they've
it's like I
also
think
said like
Oh, go
say
ahead.
it again.
I would say I think like Shang-Chi 2, Doctor Strange 3, Black Panther 3, like all of those have like they're in the void, but they're still
Yeah,
there
they're in the
apparently.
void. There's no set date for any of that. Not
Yeah.
even Deadpool 4. They said it's not a priority. Blade is dead, so there's no point even bringing that up. The one black franchise that could have made them bank, they've just killed it.
They just so
Uh,
here's my thing with Blade. They just need to enter, and I'm not trying to tangent, but they just need to introduce him in like a Midnight Sun scenario, and then or even like a special, like team him up with Punisher in a special or something like that, and
yeah,
then spin him off from there. We with Blade, unfortunately, it's like you have to kind of put him in something, people get hooked, and then they do something on his own. I think that's how this is going to have to go.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Blade. Look for me, Blade can work as a showcase like Werewolf at Night.
Hmm.
Blade could work as a yeah, joining in with somebody else's, and I want to see Blade because
I do too.
I want to see the kind of the not just like the vampiric world of there, but the more kind of supernatural elements of the MC. I want to see MI13, which was like it was like MI6, but obviously like going after like a bit like John Constantine, that kind of thing, going after the demons and all this kind of shit. And I haven't read too much of it, but what I read, I enjoyed. But he could kind of lead that, so you could kind of turn things around like a little bit and all this kind of shit, or just have like your Marvel Knights and have. But Blade will work as a TV series. Doesn't have to be a film.
Mm-mm.
I think Blade will be a great TV series. Don't need a big budget for Blade. You don't have to have like vampires exploding. Just
And you don't need Mahershala Ali. You don't need a big name for these projects.
yeah, no,
Because
no, fuck.
obviously Mahershala Ali was a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, he's been an absolute pain in the arse. The production's been a mess. And honestly, if you do a showcase, I know, but bring back Wesley Snipes. He's affordable. He's not expensive. He's got tax bills to pay. He'll fucking take anything you give him. Like, I would love to see him, but if not, go with a brand new actor. Do what you're gonna do. That's absolutely fine. But we should have Blade should
You
come
know,
back.
actually, I have a great idea. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a bunch of Marvel special feature one shots in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, where we can have like all of these characters just having one shots, like in Battle World. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah,
so then you can have Wesley Snipes teaming up with the new actor that they have coming in. You know what I mean? And like
yeah, yeah.
have them do some vampiric shenanigans in Battle World. And you know what? Like maybe keep it condensed where it's like all the different Battle World worlds are separated, but like you don't know it until like the end. You know, like they're because these Battle World's huge. It is literally a planet.
Yeah, it's a planet.
So it's
It's a
like
whole battle planet. Yeah.
you don't have to sit there and be like make it into this multiversal thing. You can basically have everything happen within like Eastern Europe or something like that. And like
Yeah.
at the end, it's like, oh, this is, and they don't have to dive into the multiversal crap. You can make it think, oh, it's a part of its own universe. But then when we get to Secret Wars, we realize, oh shit, this is actually like all of these stories that they were telling were on Battle World. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The only
Yeah,
thing
that
that
would be brilliant.
you might have to deal with is like Lord God Doom or whatever he was called. But like I don't. They can also keep it so that he's not really involved. They don't even have to really talk about him. I think that would be fantastic. Like you do 4 one shots of just all these different multiversal things, like you can throw in there. You can do, Blade. You can do, you can do like a New York one where it's like Daredevil and all these. They don't have to be this big. Hell, you can even put Daredevil season 3 in Battle World. I mean,
Yeah,
technically,
you
like
could. Yeah, if you wanted to. Yeah, yeah, they don't
so
have to be like these big epic, like
no.
crazy fucking things. But like a good point to that as well is like if you look at Spider-Man 4 now, they've just converted like Glasgow into New York, which is hilarious for me. But again, that's coming in with a smaller budget. Even though No Way Home made insane money, it is going to be a slightly more grounded film.
Which I'm very
And
happy about. I'm glad Kevin Feige won that argument because remember, Sony wanted it to be another multiversal thing, and I'm like, no, ground it, ground it.
grounded, grounded. No Way Home was a beautiful multiversal film, fantastic fan service, loved it. But now you've got to bring it back down to street level. You've got to ground it. It's starting all over again. Otherwise, you can't. Sony are fucking idiots anyway. Nobody should ever listen to them because they're the world's most dumbest studio executives. But if you keep going multiversal, then you're just going to keep pandering on the fan service. Doesn't mean anything. So here you just keep it grounded, bring in, whatever the Spider-Man villains are going to be next and all this kind of shit. Put the Kingpin in there, put Tombstone in there, things like that. Craven, a proper
Mr.
Craven.
Negative, I think
Oh, Mr. Negative. Oh, I'd love to have Mr. Negative as the next villain. Because then he's like we said before, he's there for like Kingpin as well, so they can fucking have it out as well.
I just
So
gang war it. I'm all for a gang war. Like I'm all for having like all these big like like street level
one
mob
shot on
bosses.
Battle World, get a gang war on Battle
Yeah,
World.
exactly. But that's what I
Amazing.
mean. We have we have all of this potential. I mean, you could do a special feature with like Spider-Man and Daredevil and like have them and just call it gang war. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, like
yeah,
I know that they would want if you're going to get Spider-Man and Daredevil together, they're going to want to put that in the theaters. But
yeah. Of
I mean,
course they are.
they
Of
won't
course.
do special. They won't special feature that. But
No. I don't blame them, but it's
unless they bring back like Andrew Garfield and like bring Ben Affleck back and like put them together.
oh my god, that would be hilarious. And just have their faces covered the whole time, and then
Mm-hmm.
bang, it's like revealed. It's these two. Right? You know what? People would actually cheer that on. They'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's go. Why not?"
Well, I figure people would know beforehand, like with their
Yeah, of
voices and
course they
stuff.
will.
But
Yeah, of course they will. Let's see. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it in terms of future projects. It's not as big. So you see, like, there's not, the only TV series that I know that we've still got to come, Eyes of Wakanda's come out, and then we've got Wonder Man that's kind of just disappeared, and like nobody talks about
well,
Wonder
and
Man.
Marvel Zombies went. I mean, not that I
Yeah,
really am
Marvel Zombies.
like I'm not really clamoring for that, but I'm like that's also disappeared. Like I don't
Yeah,
know what's happened with that.
yeah. So I'm guessing we'll find out a bit later on, but that's pretty it. I mean, it's a good idea to scale it back. I do say superhero fatigue has definitely set in because, like, even a film like Superman, you would expect it would make 800 or
A
700
billion.
million like easily, but it didn't. And there is also the notion of, look, there is superhero fatigue. the next genre that people are gonna be pulling their money into is gaming. Now,
Yep.
Minecraft has made stupid money. Unfortunately, fucking Lilo and Stitch is like the highest grossing film this year. But okay, that's a remake of a beloved classic, and they butchered that. But in terms of other things, it's gonna be gaming. It really is. I think gaming is just the next big thing that people because again, like
Well,
younger kids that are gonna be coming up now of age, they know the gaming world. They know the gaming world more than we knew the comic book world, more than we like knew like all the other stuff. So the gaming is their Star Wars. The gaming is their X-Men, their Superman, and all this shit. So you put that on a big screen, those kids are gonna go. Look at Minecraft. A fucking insane amount of money that film made. You know what I
dude,
mean?
and the social, like, I mean, like with the whole destroying theaters thing. I mean, I don't agree with destroying theaters, but I'm like, what movie in the history have you ever seen any kind of reaction to one single scene
Yeah,
in a movie about a stupid character? You know,
yeah.
I don't even
I'm,
know what the significant is, but I'm like, I heard these stories and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like,
yeah, it's crazy, but I'll say it off the bat that I think it was quite wholesome. Although they kind of wrecked the cinemas, it was a kind of wholesome like camaraderie between
yeah,
moviegoers that kind of joined in the scene, and it's a bit like so when Fast and Furious used to come out here in the UK. I've talked about this before. It was an event. So between 5 and 8, it was a cultural event here in the UK, and everyone just had a laugh in the cinema. And it's the only time I always say, like when I go to the cinema, touch wood, it's dead quiet. You can go and watch any film, doesn't matter who's in there. I've never had a problem with the cinema. The only time it gets noisy is with Fast and Furious, but we're all enjoying the ride. We're all saying, "Yeah, I could do that stunt in my sleep," or or cheering or the silliness and all that. That's the only time I've known cinema to be the same level of like Minecraft. But Minecraft was like a whole other level. And if I'm Hollywood, I'm running with that. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Well, obviously they're going to make Minecraft too, but they can see what other films they could. They're probably going to make a Roblox film. They're probably going to make, you know. I mean, look at Sonic the Hedgehog. We're getting a
yeah.
fourth
I was
Sonic
actually
film.
just gonna bring up Sonic a little bit ago when you finished. Like, like Sonic is making huge amounts of money, and they're decent movies. I watch them, and I think they're like, I've listened. Do they blow my mind? No, but I'm like, I think they're decent movies. Like, I really like them. You know, Mario. Look at Mario. You
Oh,
know, if they,
Mario was a great film.
yeah,
Loved it.
no,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. But Mario's like, it was a good film, and like they leaned into it. They didn't try to pull the original Mario where like, oh well, we have to ground it a little bit. Like they're like, no, we are going all in on, you know, the zaniness and the weirdness and the 2D-ness of and that's what they need to do. They need to, you know, go into that. Legend of Zelda is going to be coming out. If they do it
Well,
right,
that's
it will
right.
be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like the look of the actors that they've cast. They look the part, and they just
I
have
don't
to make
well,
it.
no, I disagree. I don't know. Why would they make Link a man? I don't, or I'm sorry, Zelda a man. I don't understand that at all.
Goddamn DEI woke bastards.
Did you hear
But
about all
yeah,
that
I mean,
drama though? When people were
eh?
complaining because they said why did they make Zelda a woman or something like that?
Yeah, because they don't know that Link is
I
actually
know.
Link.
I know. I was like, I literally was laughing like with my like the Captain Picard face palms over my face. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I hope they were joking when they did that because that's just fucking ridiculous. That just means you don't really know what you're talking about, kind of thing. But then I blame Nintendo because you call the thing Zelda, and there's only one game where you can play as Zelda like throughout, and that was recently the Wisdom Echoes of Wisdom, I think it's called. Great game, by the way. Great game. But yeah, we've got that in the works. I think they're going to do another Tomb Raider reboot. They've got like Dark Souls they're going to be working on. Look how successful the Last of Us was. So it really is like it's all about gaming now. That is the next big thing. And I honestly, the sad part is, yeah, superhero films are going to have to take a back seat, and Disney are going to have to jump on the bandwagon and do their what's that game they have?
Kingdom Hearts.
Thank you. and do Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I
I think
honestly, I feel like Kingdom Hearts would actually be a good movie, but there, yeah.
it'd be great.
Well, so here's my thing is that I think Lilo and Stitch, the live action one, should not have been. It should have been a sequel, and it should have been Stitch just going around the Disney multiverse, just wrecking shit. Like, you know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
that would have been an amazing. You know, even bring in the live action actors from other movies, and like, you know, like Belle and Beast are doing the dance, and then Stitch comes in, like drops a chant, like in the promo from the original movie.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I don't understand. Not only did we get a remake, but they botched up the relationship between the sisters. They just made it feel hollow and empty, like a Disney product, basically.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, they
rather than
really should have leaned in with that sibling, like, you know, that sibling hate for
yeah,
each
like
other,
they
but
did
yet
in the
with
animation. Why did they ditch that part of it? That was the best fucking part.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like the struggles of like the older sister and all this kind of shit. But yeah, I don't understand why if you're gonna do a live action version, don't do a remake. Do a sequel, but make it live action. I agree with you, you know. But anyway, that's the future of the MCU, and I wanted to initially focus on the upcoming projects, but honestly, the money kind of became the more important aspect of it, given Fantastic Four's flopping essentially. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the future projects. I hope they don't start doing all the stupid fan service and relying on that and do rebuild something from X-Men, which there's a lot of potential. And with that being said, we're going to close this out. I want to thank Cheeto for coming. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
To infinity and beyond. No,
Goddamn racist. And on that note, we say goodbye.